My name is Johnny, and I'm taking CIS 3367 from Professor Wheeler, and this is my midterm project. So for this midterm project, I will use Excel as my tool to analyze some data sets which I found online, so that it will become more visible, more interesting, and more informative to you guys. And it took me a lot of time to find the data sets, and finally I decided to use this as my data sets, which is the 911 phone calls records. You can see here it's a little bit messy, but I will explain to you later. So basically it's 911 phone calls from like the October of 2015 until very recently, which is October of 2016. And you can see that there's more than 12,000 rows in total, and you don't know what is happening here probably, but by utilizing Excel, I will make it more informative, and you can know like what is there any meaning or information behind this. So first of all, I made some pivot tables for this data sets. So this is the first pivot table I made. Let's see, like in the fields, I put the time as rows and I put E as values. I will explain to you. So for the time, I grouped originally it's all like here in the data sets, it's all exact time here, like uh, like the 540, but in the pivot table, I group them by days so that it's more clear. It makes more clear for you guys. Here is the group function. So I group it by days, and you may wonder what is the E? What E stands for? So for in the row data, that's E is the column I put here, which is like I put a 1 in each row. And this is pretty useful and tricky because so that in the pivot table, I just put the sum of the E or sum of or like the count of the E so that I can easily get like how many like phone calls there are in each day like that. Otherwise, you cannot like you don't know how to count it. So the E here is quite useful actually. So let's go back to the pivot table, and here I also like make a pivot chart here to show like the daily phone calls, and you can see that even though it fluctuates a little bit, but it's actually quite steady. Like there average 400 phone calls each day. And then I made my second pivot table, which is here. In this pivot table, I put them into three different categories, which is EMS, fire, and traffic. And these are the phone calls of each categories at each time, like 12 a.m. and 1 a.m. 2 a.m. It just groups them in different ways, like the hours, group them in hours. But one of the difficult things is how can I divide them into three categories? Because let's look into the raw data. You can see that for the title, this is raw data. For the title, following the EMS or following the traffic, there are always some words following it, and it makes impossible for the pivot table to like capture what is the category of this because each one is different, right? So I need to extract the EMS or traffic or fire out of the whole title things. So this is what I do. Like here, I put a type column here, and how to like divide the two things quickly. So what I did is I sort them like from A to Z. So here now you can see that all the EMS things are at the very beginning, and then following is the file, and then following the traffic. So it like is already divided into three areas. And then now I can easily like put all the EMS in these rows until fire, and then I put traffic at the end, so that now you can see that in the type it's pretty you can see that I put the types I make them into three types very easily. So now it is possible for me to use a pivot table to divide them into three categories. I just here in the pivot table fields, I add the type here and put it in a column so that it makes possible for here to look like this. And I also make a pivot chart here. You can see that there's a very clear trend, and I also put a slicer here so that you can choose whichever you want. And you can see it's very interesting that like I originally think that in the midnight there should be more phone calls because I think that there are more criminals at night, but actually it's not the situation, which you will find that actually between like 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. like at the afternoon or noon, there are more phone calls of 911s. So it's pretty interesting to look at these data sets and to see like what you can get from that. So the third pivot table I made is why I can oh yeah. So the third pivot table I make here is just very simply the total phone calls at each time of the day to make it more easy for you to see. And I put all these three pivot charts into one dashboard so that you can see all the charts at one time, and you will probably get more information at the same time and see like the correlation between each other. And actually you can like here in the options you can report connections to different pivot charts, but here I only have three pivot charts, so it does not applicable here. But if I have more charts, I can actually report connections so that when I choose one type, all the charts can move together. So next, guys, I will show you a very pretty cool things I made, which is a heat map. This is I learned the conditional formatting from class and made it to show like how many phone calls there are in each different places at each time. So it looks very cool. And this is also a pivot table. I put the different locations for uh, these rows, and I put different times for different columns. So you can see that there there are 11 phone calls from Ambler at 2 a.m. So, but originally it's all white, but use the conditional formatting first. I choose all the data sets. Choose all the data here and use a conditional formatting, and I use a color scale, and I use this one, which is 3 color scales. Oops. Okay, so original it's look like this, but I can manage the rules and change the colors as I want. Actually I want to like the lowest value I want to make it gray, and for the highest value I want to make it red, and in the middle I want to make it yellow, and click OK, and click OK. So it looks like this. It looks pretty cool. Like you can easily find like when there are more like phone calls and when there's less phone calls, and you can see that here like this location, which is the Lower Marine, there are much more phone calls because it looks redder here, and you can always see that like there are more phone calls in the noon than in the midnight. So this is a heat map, and I really like it. It makes the scenes very visible. You forget like all these disturbing datas and think that it is a pretty cool thing. And I also make the sparklines here for like the different days of the week so that it becomes more visible and informative, and you can see very clearly and easily like in what day of the week there are more phone calls and not like that. So the time is limited, so I will wrap up very quickly. I would like to say that I like the course and what I did for the midterm really. It's very interesting when I play with the data and try to find something like useful and interesting by myself. And what I found here is actually like very useful for the police, so that they know like how to allocate policemen in an effective way to deal with the phone calls, and they can even predict the number and make their work easier. So okay, thank you for you guys watching, and that's it.